All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Julia Duhart. I'm the project manager with Prime AE Group. Welcome to your community engagement meeting to discuss the Patterson Park Community Center facility. Back in August of 2020, the city of Akron and the Akron Recreation Bureau reached out to the architectural community to perform some facility condition audits of 3 community centers. This audit provides an evaluation of existing components, possible renovation options, and costs to bring the existing facilities up to today's needs. The goal of today's meeting is to gather ideas from the Patterson community. These ideas will inspire how the building is best programmed and renovated to meet the needs of the community. All right, there we go, there we are. All right, joining us today is Development Engineering Manager, Michelle DeFiore, Recreation and Parks Manager, Brittany Schmeckel, Patterson Supervisor, Jeff Corvia. James Hardy, unfortunately, was not able to attend today, but in his place, we're going to have Brittany Schmeckel share some of the vision from the community, but let me introduce the Prime AE team as well. Dana Mitchell, Senior Vice President of Architecture and Engineering, Robert Habel, Principal in Charge, myself, Julia Duhart, I'm Project Manager, Zachary Forney, who is a Designer and Community Engagement Liaison, and Marie Dowling, who is the Principal with Benke Landscape Architecture. I would like to hand it off now to Brittany and have her explain the city's vision in regards to these community centers. Brittany?
Thank you, Julia. Good evening, everyone. I am very happy to be here tonight to kick off our community engagement process with the Patterson Park community. We are just so excited about our partnership with Prime AE and to talk about our community center reinvestment program. The goal of our program is to focus major investments into each of our community centers after we physically assess them and talk with the community and receive feedback about what they would like to see at their center. Now, the community centers have not always received the level of care that they require, and we are here to fix that. We are committed to providing $2 million of investment for each community center throughout this program. The centers are community assets, and it's our job to build what the community feels is most relevant to meet their needs. And that's what we want to hear from you tonight. What's missing? What do you envision for Patterson? What would make it a stronger community asset? We are very lucky to have Jeff Corvia as the center supervisor, and he will help us along the way and help engage the community members throughout this entire process. And this won't be the last time that you hear from us. We will continue to engage with you. We just want everyone to know we are very excited about this project and we look forward to hearing from everyone tonight.
Thank you, Brittany. All right, so this evening we are going to provide a brief overview of how we approach building audits and what we have observed at Patterson to date. Then we want to spend the majority of the time today openly discussing your ideas for Patterson by asking 2 important questions. What do you want to see in a community center, and what's missing from Patterson Community Center? Now, we're going to come back to this slide a little later in the meeting when we start our community open forum. And finally, we are also going to follow up with how your ideas will highlight opportunities for program growth. But first, we got to do a little Zoom meeting etiquette here. So you're going to be muted throughout the meeting up until about the open forum, where you can raise your hand, and there might be 2 different ways for you to raise your hand. Either you can go to your name.
You froze up, Julie.
I'm sorry. Oh, it froze.
You're not frozen.
I'm unfrozen.
You're okay. You seem to be okay.
You're good.
Okay, yeah, let me know if that happens again, and I don't want to get too far ahead. So if you want to raise your hand during the open forum and speak to the group, there's a couple of ways you can do that. It kind of depends on if you're using a computer or a mobile device. At your name, you can click the raised hand icon, or you can go to the more button and click raise hand. Also, we will have the chat box opened throughout the entire meeting, and we encourage you to chat with us throughout the meeting. You don't have to wait till open forum to, just give us your ideas. And as you're giving them to us, I'm going to be writing them down for the open forum, and we'll continue our discussion at that time. This meeting is being recorded so that you're all aware. And we're also going to be asking you a few polling questions, and we're going to start off with the first one. Polling question number 1. There you go. Are you familiar with using Zoom? And we'll give you a few seconds here to answer. Okay, 100% of us are familiar with using Zoom. That's good news. If you do happen to have an issue, just please let us know. Or if the screen freezes up like it just did, just tell us to pause for a second, and hopefully we'll get it back up and running. All right, and now I would like to introduce Rob Habel with Prime AE to provide an overview of our process. Rob?
Sure. Thank you, Julia. I'm really going to tap on from some of the things that Brittany was talking about your community center and what is the task that we at Prime AE have been asked to do. So basically, our process is a 3-step process, as you see on this slide here. And we are now in step 2. So I'll give you a little overview of what step 1 was. So step 1 was an assessment and an understanding of the programs that you currently have at Patterson Community Center. So what we were trying to look at, as Brittany mentioned, the buildings need some tender loving care, if you will. They need to be brought up to code, ADA issues, access, deferred maintenance, things like that. So the first thing we did is we looked at what you have and what is the condition of your building, because certainly some of the things that will be part of this project and the budget that's allotted for this project will be bringing up the building to current codes and modernizations that will be required. So that's part of that first piece. Concurrently, we were looking at the programming aspects. What do you desire? And really what we were able to do with that was obviously study the existing building plan, look at the programs that you offer, and talk with Jeff and some of the other folks on staff about what the take is, or what is the climate, what is the what are some of the things that go on in this community center, and what are some of the things that they've heard or that maybe they believe might be needed. However, we really won't get that knowledge unless we have step 2, and that's this meeting here today. It would be foolish of us to do our step 1 and just jump in and show the community a design and expect you to like it or expect you to accept it, because we want to get your input. We want to know about the things that you see and perceive are important to your community, so that this center can be unique to this neighborhood. Every neighborhood's different. This neighborhood is a growing neighborhood, very diverse, and there's probably things that we want to or will need to address in that. So this is a great opportunity for all of you to input that. So we put together that information from step 1, and then we add to the mix the things we're going to hear today during step 2. And certainly we're hearing it not only from this meeting, but the bulletin board and the other methods, the surveys and things like that. So that's what we're here to do. So it's very important that you raise your voice, say what you need to say, or utilize the chat box, because we will take notes on all of that. So I thank you.
Thanks, Rob. All right. So we're going to ask you 3 more polling questions to get a demographic of our audience tonight. So please take a couple minutes to answer the following questions. How often do you visit Patterson Park Community Center? What age range best applies to you? And what are the types of programs you are interested in? All right, and the results, which you should be seeing on your screen. How often do you visit Patterson Community Center? It looks like about 1 to 3 times per week and a few times per year are the frequent answers, but rarely seems to take top billing there, but it's pretty spread out evenly. What age range best applies to you? Seems like the majority of our audience tonight is in the 30 to 69 years of age range. And what programs are you interested in? It seems like mostly everybody is interested in all 3: sports, social, and education. Right. So now we want to emphasize that there will be a time to address the physical conditions and their budget impacts. But for this meeting, we want to focus on function and give an overview of how we understood the site during our observations. The items in the blue box summarize our understanding. We want to make sure the community understands that some of these want to understand a little bit more about each of these items. So I'm going to introduce Marie to give a further explanation. Thank you.
Thanks, Julia. Good evening, everyone. Let's talk about the exterior of Patterson Community Center. Some of our discussion will be what the design team observed, but mostly we'd like to hear input from all of you. So how can we make the area around Patterson feel more safe? This doesn't necessarily mean adding lots of cameras or guards. The site has a great deal of grade change, but there could be better views and access to the center and around the park, which would help with safety. Additionally, better pedestrian and bike access from Patterson Avenue to the main entrance could also improve safety and provide a hub of activity for the center and around the park. What other safety concerns are we missing? Currently, the main entrance to the community center is at the parking lot elevation. What are your thoughts of creating a wow factor that lets everyone know this is the main entrance, this is the hub of our center? As far as existing activities, we understand concerts are a weekly summer event between the community center and Patterson Avenue. Also, a new splash pad was added toward the rear of the center last summer, or a couple summers ago, sorry, two summers ago. With lots of active recreation around this park, a highly used existing playground, a new splash pad, and winter sledding, do we need a better gathering space between the playground, the splash pad, and sled hill, accentuating the multi-season use of this park? What about improving the concert and event space along Patterson Avenue? What are other activities that you'd like to see at Patterson? On our next slide, you'll see some photos that follow some of these discussion points. The main entrance, the event space, the splash, I don't think we have the splash, yep, the splash pad in the background. And with that, I'll pass on to Zach. Thank you.
Yeah, so kind of going off of what you're saying about that wow factor and some of those hidden elements. So this building was built in the 60s, and you can sort of tell from the previous main entry. So up on the second floor was the designed main entry, but it's kind of hidden when you're coming in from that parking lot. So what can we do to that corner over there to really draw people in? As we were looking at the layout of this space, you could see where the original building was before, so that multi-purpose area, and then sort of where they started to tack on more pieces, in the 90s, sort of reassessing the spaces and everything. But let's go ahead and turn it over to Jeff to kind of give us a better idea of what happens in those spaces and how that's activated by the community currently.
All right, thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Good. First, thank you everybody for joining us. I appreciate it very much. You are a very vital part to our community. I've worked with many of you in other projects and talked to you about other activities and programs. So it is very important. I want to thank you. Please make sure you give your feedback because this is very important. And I really look forward to hearing what kind of feedback and ideas everybody has. So if we keep it on this map, as you said, the building was built in 1966. The main portion of the community center is a multi-purpose room and the second floor arts and crafts and pool table area. The addition was put on for the meeting room as a dining hall for the large Patterson Park Senior Club that was coming, and at one time they had mobile meals, so that was an addition to the facility. At that time, was a great addition to the park. Now, all the spaces that you see are used multi-purpose activities. Just because it says a meeting room or multi-purpose room or pool table room or arts and crafts, they're all being used for multi-purpose activities and just kind of move things around and make it happen for whatever we're doing. So some of the programs that we have senior clubs, we have pool table groups, we have the singing seniors, we have caucuses, Girl Scouts, dance, we have cheerleading, Tai Chi, and an after school program that has come in this last couple months. So I can go on and go on. We just try to make it all happen in the space that we have. So what we're trying to look for is programming ideas. Just because I have an idea, it doesn't mean it's a good idea or the idea that the people in the community are looking for. As well as we're looking for other ways to use our indoor space, how to reconfigure it, as well as outdoor space around the park. If you have visited our park, you can see that the grounds are very, very nice. There's a lot of things out there: tennis, softball, basketball. We're putting in a soccer field. A warming barrel went in 2 years ago for sled riding hill. The splash pad went in this past spring at the concert area. So there are many things that we are trying to do, but I want to know what everybody else's ideas are as we move forward. That's all I have for now. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, and so you can sort of see these spaces in that facility. So talking about that multi-purpose room, this kitchen, which, like you're saying, was built to help that multi-purpose space. And sorry about that. You can start to see that lift as well, that lift over in the corner to access that upper space. So when we were looking through this building, we started to get the idea that, like, wow, this is very useful, but how do we make this better fit the community? And because currently it's, I know a lot of people use this space for different things, but how can we make it better fit the community? A lot of different things going on, a lot of different people. Like I said before, this was built back in the 60s, and they sort of try to touch it up and make it work for the communities over the years. But I think now would be the best time to really get into hearing from the community. So we've heard from the staff, a few people on site when we went around, and so a few things we've heard was we'd like space for esports, public computer stations, some sort of outdoor pavilion for events that isn't just the that mobile bus for concerts and everything, and also looking at an elevator, climbing wall, just a lot of different things to go on in these spaces. But we feel like it's missing something, and that obviously the thing missing is you. So that's why we're here tonight, to talk about these wants and needs that you guys see. So if you've been to the site recently, you've probably seen this board that talks about What do you want? What do you want to see in Patterson Community Center, in a community center? And you can see a lot of ideas here that people have started to put up there in the past few days. Chess groups, computer room, cool. We also heard that from the site. Movie nights, gyms, some sort of car show, additional outdoor lights. So a lot of things that really bring the community together. So I think this is a good time to open up for you all. What should we start to see in this space? Go ahead and feel free to unmute. Well, raise your hand first and then you'll unmute. But let's start filling up this board with some ideas here. So I see some people say computer lab, chess club, and gardening. Yeah, let's hear from you all. Open up the chat. Yes, I see. Oh, go ahead, Julia.
Yeah, so far we've got updated bathrooms. As computer lab seems to be a popular item amongst the group so far. It's mentioned a couple places, not only a computer lab per se, but classes as well, and supporting technology like a copy machine for community members to use. And then let's see, what else do we have that's popping up? Would there be the possibility for an addition on the building or expanding one of the areas? That is certainly something that we will be studying. Like we mentioned earlier, there's a part of this budget that we're working with is going to need to be allocated to not only modernizing the building, but to bring certain things up to code, like handicap accessibility, better ventilation, better lighting, updated bathrooms. I know is a priority of the city, and a few other things. But yes, and once we, kind of figure out where those items are landing in the budget, we will start to see, what kind of major renovations or possible additions are going to be feasible.
Yeah, and I think one of the purposes of this meeting is to get an idea of what would go in that addition, because everyone would like an addition, like let's just add on more space, but let's start to think about what we could do to program that, what spaces we already have, and what spaces could we use additionally.
Okay, does anybody want to raise their hand and openly discuss with the group?
Don't be shy, please.
Hey, Julia, this is Dana. In the question or the comment that's up here about expansion of one of the areas, Sue, if you would mind commenting on what areas and what programs are missing that might be part of an expansion. Would you care to elaborate on that?
Sure. And I was just curious. I'm just wondering if any of the design, sometimes different room usage could be, I guess, designed better to accommodate a larger group. Right now, it seems the only large group or the large room is the, Jeff, what do you call it? Not the gymnasium. What's that called? I don't have the
Multi-purpose.
a multi-purpose room, which, if that's being used, it's hard to also run programs consecutively or at the same time if you're looking for room usage. So I'm just wondering if there's any ability to either blow out some of the walls of a smaller room to create another larger room. And I'm not sure if the programming that's scheduled requires smaller groups and smaller rooms, or do you need more space to do physical type of gatherings, whether it's dance or Tai Chi or just, games. So I'm just wondering if, I was just curious, that's all.
Okay.
It's a good question, and that's something that we actually we're looking at because you have sort of a very large space. It's very tall. It's very noisy. Then you have the multi-purpose room, and so is there a room that might be 2/3 that space, a little better acoustics, things like that, and so it's just a matter of the best arrangement of that and really where the programming goes. And maybe that room gets a divider so that it can be used in a multiple number of ways. But those are all things that are on the table. And, the goal is to hear, what some of these spaces mean in terms of square footage. So sometimes it's not easy to say, I need a room this big to do this and such. That's our job to try to figure out based on the comments that we're hearing. So it's a good point, good comment.
I'm just, curious with Jeff and scheduling activities, is he turning away different groups and programming because of a scheduling conflict, because there is no room to accommodate some of these groups? So I'm just wondering, if there is a need to increase the space, or are we good with the space that there is? It just needs to be a little bit better designed.
This is Michelle
Currently, the city.
Currently, right now, even though our rooms say multi-purpose, craft room and dining hall, I kind of use them all as multi-purpose space. We move tables, move chairs, we set it up however we need for the need of the group that's coming in, depending on the size that they are. And that's just currently how I do it, just because that's how I've been programmed to do. But yes, I'll use whatever space I have and make it work. Like upstairs, for example, the craft room, that's also we consider a classroom where Project Learn will have their classes for the English speaking program. So we just make it work whatever size we have.
So this is Michelle with the city. Somebody made a comment about better Wi-Fi. I believe we did just extend Wi-Fi to the community center, so it should be good. If you could elaborate that maybe in the chat box, but we also have Katie Beck who has raised her hand, and then Justin, so we can let Katie unmute and speak.
My first reaction was that the ninja courses sounded really cool. I don't know if that's exactly the answer, but I think the idea of some sort of like creative, active space, and that could be modular where it could be adapted for groups that are coming in. But I really like the idea of having some sort of unique, active experience that you could only find at Patterson.
Yeah, I like that. Some sort of like feature to bring people into the space. Okay.
I can comment on the Wi-Fi. We do now have Fairlawn Gig with fiber optic Wi-Fi into the community center, which has improved it tremendously. We can get Wi-Fi all the way, like halfway to the parking lot, all the way up to the concert area, and almost all the way out to the basketball court. So it has been improved. Depending on when the last time you were there, we had Spectrum, but now we're with Fairlawn Gig, which has improved 100%. But if there's still issues, let us know.
Justin, if you want to unmute and share your thoughts.
Yes, yes. Good evening, everybody. I know that you all mentioned soccer fields, and I guess my question was, are you guys, is the team also considering like soccer courts, futsal style courts, street soccer courts, panda cages? I did coach at North High School for 2 seasons, and I know we have a huge soccer community here that really has no place to play, and they would probably play year round if they could, and grass isn't always the best option. So if you were all considering some more recreation around soccer, I think it would be a huge benefit and a huge draw. I mean, even a lighted court would make a complete difference in that area.
Yeah, right now, we took out one of the ball fields with the help of Sue from First Serve, and we're converting it into an outdoor soccer field. Right now, we put some dirt down and trying to grow some grass, but there's going to be a soccer field down in that area. But I do agree with you with being a big and huge soccer community.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, and this is just my personal opinion. I think the fields are great, and I know they will be utilized, but there's so many diverse ways to play soccer here that we don't have the option to do that unless you're going like Auto Orf over there in East Akron. And we just don't have that availability here. And a lot of times our players here don't have cleats to play on shoes or on the field when it's slippery. So if we did have a hard surface, you could squeeze in like a tennis court size soccer court, 2 or 3 of those in that same field size. But I know North High School doesn't have a sufficient place to practice, and that would be a benefit for them. But just to get community involved, I mean, even volleyball courts, I know our community does that well. So you can get a 2-for-1 piece out of that. So just want to throw that around as well.
I see Patricia Wyatt's hand raised.
I heard that there was a tennis court, and again, we're talking about the soccer courts. And I think a good idea maybe would be to offer classes for those types of sports like tennis. You know, kids are, I know, ideally come to the centers, and they definitely will do the basketball and definitely will do football. But if they don't have any knowledge of certain, things, then they're more apt not to want to use those things. And I think if you offered classes or just a basic skill on how to, I know the soccer, like you said, is a really good, a really active sport in this area. Maybe it seems to me just because, the refugees and immigrant population like to play soccer, but maybe if we got some of our other kids involved in the community to give them classes on how to play soccer or how to play tennis, that they might be more apt to want to sign up for those type of things.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of going off of that outdoors thing, there's a lot of outdoor space here. What do you guys think for like a teaching garden or some sort of, I guess not necessarily, community garden, teaching garden? What do you guys think about those sort of things, that sort of less active outdoor activity? I know I think it was Sylvia said something about mulched areas outside. If you guys want to kind of talk about that a little bit, Sylvia?
We also have Nima with a raised hand.
Oh, great.
Hello, are you guys hearing me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
Hey, yes. Just listening all what's happening here, and the conversation is like really make me feel like maybe I can speak a little bit about my experience and what I think could help for the immigrant community, specifically like my Nepali community, which is maybe make like, there were some of them already mentioned about like making the outdoor space a little bit. And also Jack bring the really good point about like creating these gardens or the reading space that we're like. So I think with that, like few things I want to mention was that maybe creating something like that where like all these generations, peoples will come in the one place for my community. Because right now there is like several generations. Like my mom also wants to come and meet with peoples and make a friend, but we don't have that welcome space. Like we are just here in North Hills, and there is no place to teach us what this place is about and what we are available, resources around. We don't have that space. And this Accents House, there's in the North Hills, that was like that. That's how we built Accents House. Here, like people feel connected with this place. But the Pattersons have a more capacity for that, but we're not using the right way. So I think creating something that like maybe adding the more indoor sport where like all people can come and enjoy in this little space, maybe indoors, or creating the like lot of like as Jack said, maybe creating the gardens that would feel welcome and provide the peace. That's my thought. Thank you.
You know, I keep coming back to this comment earlier about from Tim, actually, to create more space for movement around the center. And I think that kind of ties in with what you were saying about using space more efficiently. Yeah, you have all these programs, but it seems like you guys were looking for like a little bit of fluidity here, to attract more people, to enliven the spaces. And, you know, it's not just all, you know, action adventure, but there's also these, like, kind of like what hospitals do. They have these peaceful gardens where they feel welcome to sit there and have a book club, or just meet with some family and friends and just talk, and not feel like that moment's going to be invaded, you know, to some degree. So I think and correct me if I'm wrong, if that's kind of what you're meaning by those two comments.
And
We have Mary with her hand raised.
Okay.
Hi, this is Mary D from Asian Services in Action. I don't know where this was mentioned, whether or not this was mentioned earlier or not, because I had to take a phone call. Two things. Somebody mentioned about the community garden, and a good contact for community gardens would be Lisa Nunn from Let's Grow Akron. We've worked with her quite a bit. And Jacqueline Kowalski, she has conducted classes for us through a grant. And another thing is when sports events, for example, or classes for children are being held, I think it would be good to have other classes simultaneously for the parents, so that they are in the same building, they can keep an eye or know what is happening, and the children know that the parents are in the same building. So something for the parents to do also while the children are engaged in sports or other classes.
Yeah, thank you. I think that would be good with for looking at that larger open space, that multi-purpose room, and then having that upstairs area, or even a few of the other rooms in on the first floor. But I think we can get a lot of sort of visual relationship between the upstairs, downstairs, and have the dual programming at the same time. And I know some people have said something about the noise when something's going on in the big space versus in the small space. So I think that would be something positive to sort of spin off of this. Kind of going back to what Nima was saying, looking at the use of the space and sort of the capacity. I know in North Hill there are a few smaller hubs that serve as, like, you know, smaller community centers, community houses. But I think, I think being able to get all of the feedback for this meeting would be a huge step to what can we do in these spaces. We know, I mean, I know Nima was listing some of the programming, and I recognize a few of these names from different programs at the Exchange House. And I think it would be beneficial to have everyone really get in on this with the surveys, to really just say, like, yeah, we want bigger space to, you know, showcase our art. We want a bigger space to have these meetings, have these dance classes, have all of this programming that could reach so many more people if you just had the space for it. And and I think that's sort of what Nima was saying. And you can jump back in if, you know, correct me if I'm wrong. But.
Hey, Zach, this is Dana. So Jeff, Sue asked a question earlier, and I didn't quite know if you had a chance to respond to that, but I think the question, Sue, you were asking was, do you turn away programming because you don't have space to do something either simultaneously or just don't have the right space? And I'm not sure, Sue, is that the question you were asking?
Yes, that's correct. I was just wondering if there's enough space because of that.
Okay. Could always use more space, and I make sure I fill it up. Like I tell my staff, my ideal would be to fill every hour of every room in the community center for every day. In reality, is that going to happen? No, but that's a nice goal that I do try to do, and I use the space that I have. It doesn't make sense to me to put a group of 6 people in a large multi-purpose room. when you have smaller rooms. But again, it depends on what kind of programming and what kind of activity they're doing. So I just kind of use the space what I have and make it work. And with more space or reconfigure the space better work and be able to bring more programming in at the same time. I do agree with that. Another comment that someone had mentioned is if you're doing something downstairs in a multi-purpose room and there is activity going on up in the second floor, like for example, in the classroom, there is quite a bit of noise because there's a lot of windows. So you're fighting over each other's voices and talking louder. But yeah, more space or reconfiguring the space better, as well as having at least a large space for larger programming is always good. I use whatever's there.
People away though, is what they're asking.
And currently right now, I don't really turn anybody away. If someone needs a specific day and the building is full, I will try to encourage them to move to another day, to try to make it work and use the space, smart.
We have
Thanks, Jeff.
Councilman Lombardo with us. If he has his hand raised, if he would like to speak.
Hi, thank you. I'm sorry I joined late, so I really don't know where we're at in the agenda. It just sounds like you're taking suggestions on the use of space. Is that correct? So I don't know if this has been said, but I was just looking for a place where people can go to grill out, like a shelter, have a grill, shelter, picnic table area. Maybe it's an outdoor birthday party or something like that, but that would just be my suggestion at Patterson Park. An open, grilling area and some barbecues.
Hi, Phil. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Jeff. Sorry I'm late.
And for those of you who don't know Phil is our ward councilman. So thank you for joining in on our conversation.
Okay, no problem. No problem. I got basketball practice at 7:30. But I'll stay on.
We have about 12 minutes left for this meeting. Just want to remind everybody that this is not going to be the last time we ask to hear from you. And plus, feel free to reach out to Jeff at any time to share your ideas. If you have already raised your hand and don't have anything further to say right now, can you take your raised hand off? And I think Patricia, we hadn't heard from Patricia yet.
No, I spoke. I was just.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So let me take my raised hand off. Okay.
Okay. I just want to make sure we hear from everybody that hasn't spoken. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Thank you.
All right. Do we have anybody else who has a raised hand? Okay. All right. Well, we still have about 10 minutes here, so let's talk a little bit more about some of this programming. Zach, did you want to say something else?
Yeah, I was going to ask about when you're in the space, actually, doing things in the meeting space, the multi-purpose room, anything on the first floor. Is there anything that pulls you up to the second floor? I know they have a pool table up there, which would probably pull me up. But I'm just wondering for people in there, is it a turn off to go upstairs, or if you come in through the upstairs, do you ever go downstairs? So what's the feel when you're actually inside that space, kind of going back to the moving people through the building?
Well, currently right now, what we have is the billiard room, which can't be used for much more just because the pool table takes up the whole space. But the classroom over there has been many different things in the history of the building. It's been a craft room, ceramic pottery room, preschool tot room. Currently right now it's meetings and a classroom. Project Learn does use that classroom up there quite often. It's a nice designated space, but I do know their evening class does have to fight over the noise from downstairs. But getting up there, you have to, you're coming through the main entrance on the ground floor off the circle. And if there's a program in the multi-purpose room, you have to go through there. But we've encouraged people to use the door upstairs. The only downside of using the door upstairs is that you can't leave it unlocked. So they would have to let people in, or what we do is prop it open, but we don't want people coming and going while they're having their class. And that's the only, that's the two downsides, is either you have to walk through the multi-purpose room, or you have to keep the door locked upstairs after the class starts.
And Jeff, that's the main reason for that, is because you can't obviously be in two places at once, and a lot of your functions are occurring on the first floor, and you just can't, you have to leave that door locked so people just don't randomly walk in. So I think that is an issue that we need to also address during in this program, is that better movement throughout the building, better circulation throughout the building, direct people where to go a little more efficiently. Okay. Anybody else have any further items they would like to talk about today? I'm seeing inside and outside decor should reflect the culture diversity. I think that's a very good point. And we were talking about an earlier in when we were talking with Jeff, is, are there like community art shows, or is there a place to do for these different cultural groups to come out and showcase their artwork? And it sounds like there is quite a few festivities that occur, especially in the summertime, but do we want something like that to become more permanent, like a more permanent feature? And I know, Michelle, you said that in regards to artwork, there is a process that you have to go through with the city in order to display art. Can you elaborate? Can you refresh my memory on what that was?
The city just launched an art commission process. So if the art is on city property or funded by the city, it needs to be presented to the art commission for approval.
Okay.
This is Rob. One of the things that I've been hearing, and it's not just for this center, but what we heard the other day, and I'm sure we'll hear again tomorrow, is just a place to meet, and those kind of spaces can be very casual, and just a place to come in and meet friends. There's a trend in community and recreation centers for, rather than, you've got the room for the seniors and you've got a room for the kids and you got a room for something else, that you have sort of this multi-generational space that's really open for everyone. So it doesn't become owned, if you will. And if you want to go to that space and meet and play cards, it doesn't have to be like age groups. It can be the idea of a mother or grandmother or father, waiting for their kids who are participating in dance or sport or something that's going on next door. Just a place that can be comfortable and can allow that or facilitate that to happen. And it could be used all day long. We're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing the trend getting away from very specific, focused functions, because then they sort of become segregated when really the intent is, especially, to get all ages active together, because that's really what a community is all about.
I think that would be a sort of good spin on the, the bridge club, chess club. I think it'd be cool to have like a few different board games just in the space. I know sometimes going through, and again, I apologize, because most of my experience there is at the Exchange House. Just being able to sit on that like front porch and play board games with people. Or if you're waiting for someone to come pick you up, you could just like go grab a board game and do something. So like Rob was saying, in that sort of multi-generational space, so just everyone's space. I think it would be good to have those areas, but on the flip side, I think it would be good to, to have specific spaces, or to have sort of open spaces. It's good to have specific spaces as well. And that sort of reaches back to what Katie had mentioned with the, like that ninja sort of space or rock wall or some sort of space like that. It'd be nice to have a few different things sort of juxtaposed beside each other.
I did see someone put up a kite festival. It's funny that you mentioned that. The city of Akron is starting a campfire series. We had one a couple weeks ago with sled riding, but we are going to do another type of campfire series in October. There is no snow, but we're calling it lunar kite flying. So you fly your kite at night and put like glow sticks on it. So that was very nice that someone mentioned a kite festival.
I'm coming to that. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
We just need to make sure we have wind.
Well, you're kind of in a bowl area. There's probably some wind.
But yeah, so looking through these comments, I saw Nima's comment. Yeah, I think these surveys really need to reflect what the people of the community want. So, I mean, people who show up to the meetings versus people who are at work, people who are at home, people who don't have access to these meetings. I think it's really important that we spread the word for these surveys. So everything online, you could go to the Facebook page, show up to the, oh, there we go. Yeah, you come into the actual Patterson Park or Patterson Community Center and speak with Jeff, email him, call him, or just follow the link on the survey. I believe it's on the Facebook page. You can find the link to the survey. So I recommend, also Akron Rec Desk, the city pages. But yes, check those out. We want to hear from everyone. I'm going to say that, this is actually a pretty good turnout, but this isn't enough. We want to hear from everyone. Yeah, anything, I'll turn it back over to Julia.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, once again, this will not be the last time we engage the community. This will not be the last time you see our lovely faces. We hope it's not the last time we see your lovely faces. We want to make sure the lines of communication are open, and also just to make sure that we are on track with the input that we receive from the community. So just keep your eyes and ears open and you'll be hearing from us. And if nobody else has another thought or idea that they would like to share, I think we can go ahead and close tonight's meeting and hope you enjoy the rest of your evening and have a great weekend as well. So thanks again for joining us.
Hi, everybody. I just want to thank everybody for participating and giving your feedback. It is very greatly appreciated, and I thank you all. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Hey, Julia.
Yes.
Are you going to be, would you be able to give me